my name is Janhavi Manale. I'm 21 years old. I am currently based in Mumbai and I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. And I'm currently pursuing my PGPM from Athena School of Management, which is equivalent to an MBA. To tell you a bit about before my MBA, so I'm a student of psychology. I've done my bachelor's in psychology, and after my undergraduate degree was done, I was pursuing marketing internship, which was focused on a lot of event management as well. And in addition to that, I also did a customer relationship management diploma just to get a bit more exposure in the field. I come from a corporate family, like most of my family is in the corporate side, but I also really love psychology. So that's why I wanted to do my undergraduate in psychology. But in addition to that, I also wanted to learn a bit more about corporate because that is the background I have. So I felt like as I was a student of psychology, I did not have as much exposure in the corporate world, the understanding that management students have, which is why I kind of felt that I needed the knowledge and skills set to enter the industry and as well gain some knowledge for myself as to how the industry works, what the different kinds of roles and responsibilities are. And even if you take like a particular sector, like we know about finance, marketing, HR, but even under that there are so many different things to do. Like there's just not one thing. There is in finance, you can look at investment banking, in equity research, in HR there is the talent acquisition, there is the other recruitment parts, the payroll parts. In marketing also you have different fields like market research, branding. So that is something which I did not know about before I entered and started my MBA. So I feel like that is something that gave me like a much more technical understanding as to what all is there and which was important for me to before getting a job and settling into a job. So which is why I felt like this was a good time to do my MBA. Athena School of Management has like a very comprehensive program which has like theoretical as well as practical understanding of how the corporate world works. So most MBA schools here just give you one internship in 2 years, whereas MBA in Athena provides you with 3 internships. So in your first year, if you're confused what you want to take on, if you're confused in between 2 fields, you can actually explore and understand how like the internships are, what is it like in the roles. So currently I was a bit confused between HR and marketing, so I did a HR internship in my first semester and I'm planning to do a marketing internship in my second semester. So I have a bit of exposure and understanding, and then I can take a decision as to what I want to do. So that is one of the things that I found out about Athena when I was researching. So which is one of the reasons that I wanted to pursue this program. And in addition to that, they also provide us with like various online courses, various opportunities to participate in international case studies, international debates, various international joint projects with different business schools, which also helps us build like networking skills and also cultural awareness, which is very important in today's international business environment. So that was one of the reasons, and Athena is one of the I feel few schools that actually accepts freshers as well, because that is very important to gain like certain knowledge before we enter the industry. So all of the projects and internships that they provide us prove to be helpful, and it also acts like something that we've gained practically as well as theoretically. So that is something that was one of the reasons about why I chose MBA at Athena. I personally feel like one of the things that is, of course, a con of being so young is that you are not completely taken as seriously. Like if I want to go and have a discussion with like business leaders, of course, they are not going to completely be willing to make me a part of the conversation or take up my point of view. But of course, like at least I have that understanding that I can look at it like not as a sort of insult, but like still be a part of the conversation and understand things and gain much more knowledge instead of being offended about it. Like the thing about being young is you have to gain a lot of experience and respect, and I think that happens over time. So you have to be a bit down to earth when you're starting out. So personally, I feel like like I'm okay with the fact that I'm young and doing an MBA, but at least I have the knowledge right now that can help me in the industry instead of me just doing internships and then finding out about a lot of things. Like I said, Athena has accepted freshers, which has made the program kind of an inclusive program. Like anyone can apply if they want to learn. So that is why I don't think I ever had an issue because of my age at Athena. We have like a lot of like I mentioned, we have a lot of international debates, a lot of international projects that happen. So a lot of people do not have that kind of exposure in like normal undergraduate degrees. Like with a lot of international debates, we are not aware of the various formats which only happen when you actually participate in things. So when we are given these opportunities and we learn new things about like things like this at Athena, we also gain a lot of exposure. We get to participate and network with a lot of people, and this has been like a very big lesson for me. And in addition to that, I also feel that I always learn something new. Like sometimes it's just they've put us in a habit of newspaper reading. So when we do that, we learn so much about what is happening, like current affairs, which would not have happened on a regular basis. So me understanding that, and sometimes I just gain a small thing out of the day, like learning a new word, but something it's also learning about a completely new concept and being surprised by what is actually going on in like the world at this. Even post COVID, there have been so many changes. So I feel like that is something which is like a very big lesson for me. The Rotaract Club at Athena School of Management falls under a Rotary International, which it's like a club which is present at our college, and I'm the secretary of the club. So in this club, we take on a lot of different activities. There are various avenues like entrepreneurship development, professional development, community service, social media interaction. So all of these activities and everything is focused on these avenues. And since I'm a secretary, I have a sort of leadership position at the club. So every time there are activities, I have to manage communication, I have to manage the event. Mostly I have to make sure that all of the process is happening properly, so the end result is in a good way. And we can also collaborate with like a lot of clubs, so it also helps us communicate with different people. When we had our first event, we had like people from Singapore, from Australia, which also helped us interact with them and invite them to our event. We regularly interact and invite them to our events for collaborations, for just participation also, but it also helps me personally in networking, in building leadership skills, in also learning things from these activities. We've had an entrepreneurship event, we've had a event which had CPR training, we also had LGBTQ webinars. So having and gaining certain knowledge about this and having an understanding about these new things which we probably would not know if we didn't organize them, talking to the speakers who would come in, how to talk to them. So all of this has also made me understand a lot more about what goes into event planning as well. And at the end, we have to make reports and submit those reports. So this whole end-to-end process needs to be kind of looked at, which is something I would not have learned if I did not get like a role like this. So this has definitely helped me in like enhancing a lot of my skill set and also building on my leadership skills. I am not completely clear about that yet. Like I mentioned before, I'm still kind of deciding between HR and marketing because, like I said, I have a psychology degree, so I've always been interested in like people and understanding how they function, which is why HR has always been a kind of soft spot for me. But also marketing also has like consumer behavior. There's so much market research, which there is a lot that goes in understanding how people function, which is why I always wanted to first explore and decide. But I have a sort of um, like I have been going towards marketing a bit because there are a lot more opportunities to work in different fields there. And it's also, so I have been recently working on research papers on consumer behavior as well, so which was something that I really found myself interested in. So which is why I want to explore before I finally decide on a career. But post my MBA, my plan is to first have like a 5-year plan to figure out what I want to do ahead in my career. If I want to do a second master's, if I want to go abroad. So once I finalize all of that, I think that would happen once I have my master, like which is my specialization. But once I have that sorted, I think I can plan further ahead and make sure that it's solid. I think one of the most surprising things about doing an MBA is me realizing how many opportunities are out there for learning, for networking. There are so many international challenges, so many case study competitions, and it's like all going on at such a quick pace, and you have to keep up with all of it. So that was something that was really surprising because I did not know there was so much going on when I was doing my undergraduate degree, because again, it was a completely different background. But understanding all of that was like a bit surprising for me. And also the amount of things that I learn every day about my field, like I mentioned, that we learn the smallest things to the biggest things. So like we have a lot of so we have like regular activities that happen, like book reviews or just talking about different concepts. So it just, every time someone else from the class talks, you learn something new which you probably did not know. Then even while doing research for yourself, something that you must have known your whole life, you learn something new. And it could be about your favorite book, but you still learn something different every day. So that was something which I was really appreciative of. I definitely have seen a bit more of a positive change in me. Like, I feel like I've started taking much more initiative, and I've tried taking on many more tasks and leadership positions. So I am the president of the marketing society in our college. So we have certain clubs which do activities regularly along with our Rotaract club. So in that, I'm the marketing society's president, and I have also developed my communication skills a lot with the help of all of my um, so all the club work, all the interaction with people, even with this interview, it's like really helped me enhance that skill set and gain a lot of confidence to do this as well. Like or like last year me would be very like frazzled if my college coordinator would have told me this, but now I have much more confidence to come and do this as well. And it's an experience which is definitely stressful on a day-to-day basis, but something that I really appreciate about Athena is they are very supportive. If we need any help, we can always go talk to our college coordinator. We can tell them what issues we have. If there is something that's like a personal issue, we can ask them for extensions. We can talk to them. Like, it's become like a good relationship where we can be honest with them. So that is something that I'm really appreciative of. And it has also made me feel that I should not underestimate myself, but I also know there is help if I ask for it. So one of the things that I would really like to share with someone who is starting out an MBA, or like planning on pursuing it, the process can be tough and it can be really exhausting sometimes, but the main point should be that you need to take initiative. Like, of course, opportunities will be given by you, by your B schools, by any of the institutions that are there, but if you don't make the best of it, and if you do not take that opportunity, it's again going to be on you and not on them. And even if you take on the opportunity, you should try your best to probably win a competition, probably put in the best efforts to do it. But even if you pass or fail, you need to make sure that you at least try it out instead of later regretting that you didn't do something. And also, I feel like with all of the taxing environment around MBA, you also need to do some mental health checkup of yourself. You need to make sure that you're not at the point of burnout. You need to make sure that you're giving yourself time as well. Even if it's 5 minutes of listening to music, even if it's just taking a calming shower, but just take some time for yourself as well. And I think that's it.